Welcome back to Watercooler Hot Stove Reviews. I'm Tawny, and I would like to welcome you back to another episode of Watercooler Hot Stove Reviews, IMDb Top 1000. Today is only number 1. I may only just be another Tawny in the wind, but why are we all pretending to watch all these shows and movies in our peripherals as we do other stuff in our lives? Today, we are starting at the top of the mountain, The Shawshank Redemption. It's the highest rated movie of all time, mostly because it's a 142-minute fantasy about a guy who finally gets to quit his job and move to a beach without having to update his open-to-work status on LinkedIn. Let's dive in. It's 1994. Andy Dufresne is a banker who gets gaslit by the legal system for a crime he didn't commit. Classic government efficiency. He goes to Shawshank, where he meets Red played by Morgan Freeman, a man whose voice is so soothing it could make a 401k collapse feel like a warm hug. Andy spends 20 years doing the warden's taxes. Think about that. Even in a maximum security prison, the system finds a way to make you sit at a desk and crunch numbers for a mediocre white man in a suit. It's not just a prison movie. It's a metaphor for the modern corporate grind, except Andy's office has slightly better security and fewer synergy meetings. But let's talk about the actual prison, the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield. It was built between 86 and 1910, designed by a guy named Levi Schofield who used 3 different architectural styles: Victorian Gothic, Richardson and Romanesque, and Queen Anne. He thought that if he built a prison that looked like a European castle, it would inspire the inmates to be reborn into a spiritual life. Because, apparently, nothing says spiritual rebirth like being locked in a 6-tier steel cell block with 500 other guys who also don't want to be there. It's the tallest freestanding steel cell block in the world. It's a masterpiece of hostile architecture disguised a grand achievement. By the time the cameras rolled in 1993, the place was a wreck. It had been closed by a federal court order for inhumane conditions. The production designer looked at the peeling paint and the damp stone and said, "Perfect, don't change a thing." In fact, when the crew showed up on the first day of filming, a wrecking ball was literally standing outside. The state of Ohio was ready to turn this castle into a parking lot. If it weren't for this movie, the building wouldn't even exist. We preserved a site of human suffering so we could film a story about hope. If that isn't the most American thing you've heard today, I don't know what is. Since we're all obsessed with property we'll never own, let's look at the neighborhood. The movie says Maine, but the money went to Mansfield. During filming, the crew spent about $11 million in the local economy. Producers were renting and buying houses because it was cheaper than staying in hotels. Right now, you can buy a 4-bedroom on Dunham Avenue for about $160,000. If you look at the Boulevard's historic district, you'll see homes that look like they belong in a 1940s film set because, well, they were. You can live right next to a reformatory that's haunted by the ghost of a guard killed in solitary in 1932 for the price of a used luxury SUV in a real city. The Reformatory Society even runs a place called Hancock Heights, fully renovated 1940s-style homes, steps away from the prison. They'll even let you stay in the warden's bedroom. It's trauma-core tourism. We've turned a place of systemic failure into a bed and breakfast where you can buy a Brooks Was Here coffee mug. Trivia time, strap in. The sewage Andy crawled through, it was actually chocolate syrup, sawdust, and water. The man escaped through a giant room temperature mocha. If only our real-life problems tasted like a Starbucks seasonal latte. It smelled so bad that Tim Robbins refused to do it until he was sure the pipe was sanitized. And then there's the music. That Mozart scene? Andy locks himself in the office and plays The Marriage of Figaro. The 2 women are singing a letter about exposing a cheating husband. The prisoners don't know that they just hear beauty. Director Frank Darabont had writer's block and listened to Mozart to get through it, so he forced the inmates to listen to it too. It took 8 takes and 8 panes of glass to get that one shot of the door being kicked in. Director Frank Darabont bought the rights from Stephen King for $1. When the movie became a hit, he sent King a $5,000 check. King never cashed it. He framed it and sent it back with a note saying, "In case you ever need bail money." That's the level of financial security I'm aiming for. Morgan Freeman's son played the young version of Red in the mugshots because apparently, good genes are the only thing the system can't privatize. He's also the guy yelling fresh fish at the beginning. And that crow, Brooke's pet? The American Humane Association made them find a maggot that died of natural causes to feed it. Because in Hollywood, even the maggots have better labor protections than the crew members. They had to wait for a maggot to have a heart attack or old age just to satisfy a bird's lunch requirements. Verdict? 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece about a guy who realized the only way to win the game is to stop playing it. He crawled through 500 yards of filth and came out clean on the other side. Most of us are still in the tunnel, scrolling through Zillow, and we haven't even found the rock hammer yet. That's movie number 1. Only 999 more to go until we finish the list. Stick around or don't. The algorithm will probably feed you a video of a cat in a hat after this anyway. The Shawshank Redemption is IMDb's number 1. Andy gets framed, does a warden's taxes for 2 decades, and escapes through a chocolate syrup mocha. It's hope core for people who hate their bosses. The prison is a Gothic castle in Ohio that was literally scheduled for demolition until Hollywood saved it to sell us souvenirs. You can buy a house in Mansfield for $160K, which is the only real redemption in this economy. The maggot had to die of natural causes. Stephen King is too rich for checks. Morgan Freeman's son is the mugshot. Andy hid his rock hammer in the Book of Exodus, which is the ultimate I'm out move. It's a 10 out of 10 because it proves that if you wait long enough and dig hard enough, you might eventually get to a beach in Mexico where LinkedIn can't find you. This was movie number 1 out of 1,000. I'm Tawny, and I've got 999 more of these to do. The stove is off. The water is cold. So long, freaks, I got work to do.